How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to a brand new video, guys. Today we got ourselves some rumors and things to take a look at, so sit back, relax, let's get started. Right off the bat, we got this rumor from 4chan, which we're going to be taking a look at. Shout out to HDV for sending this my way, actually. Take a look at. So, here's what it says. Legends ZA by Anonymous. Now, I don't know if there was anything below this post, because the actual original post, I think, is gone now. I can't seem to access it anymore, so that's pretty much that. By the way, let's see what the actual post has to say, though, which is the following. Legends ZA Anonymous. Now, 16 new Mega Evolutions, apparently. Most exciting new Mega forms of the Generation 6 starters. Now, this would be great. I'm going to start it off by saying this would be great. If we actually had, like, 16 new Megas, and 3 of them would be the starter Pokemon for Gen 6, so that would be Greninja, you know, and, what do you call it? Greninja, Chestnut, and, I forget, like, Delphox's name. There we go. So, that would actually be pretty sick. And 16 new Megas, that is a solid amount. You could easily fit Flygon in there, which is one that definitely should happen. Jinx also would make sense to happen as well. Like, you can fit in a decent amount there, just from, like, what I'm thinking of. Yeah, you still have 11 spaces left. So, that would actually be an incredible amount. 16 new Megas would be sick. Now, I know some of you might be like, I want, like, 50 new Megas! I get it, but I think 16 is already pushing it, to be honest with you. Now, he continues on and says, Mega Magearna revealed at Worlds 2024, most likely as it's a Gen 7 Pokemon with strong connections to Kalos, so links nicely. Ooh, okay. That would make sense, right? That would make total sense if they did do that. That would be, I don't know, that would be interesting. Because there has been talks about the fact that I mentioned this already, like, a month or so ago now, that Magearna's colors match the colors of the Pokemon logo in Legends ZA, like the actual Legends ZA logo. Like the colors of Magearna actually match the inside pink colors of the logo there. So that's something I want to just mention again. Now, to continue on. Starter Pokemon are Snivy, Torchic, and Piplup. As most have guessed, and yes, they do get new forms, just like the Arceus starters. Okay, that's fair. Starter Pokemon Snivy, Torchic, Piplup, and most guessed, yes. Okay, so, interesting. So he's saying that Gen 6 starters are going to get it again, but so he's saying that, I guess, Gen 6 starters aren't going to be our actual starters. It's going to be different starters, but we're still going to get Mega forms for the original Gen 6 starters, like, you know, whatchamacallit, I forget the names now. Jeez, literally, Fennekin, Chespin, and Froakie. Interesting. But the actual starter says it's going to be Snivy, which makes sense, Torchic, which makes sense, and Piplup, which makes sense, he says as most guessed. Now, what he means by this is, in the trailer for the Indigo Disc DLC, they specifically had these moments where they showed, like, Rowlet, which is one of the starters from Legends Arceus, Cyndaquil, started from Arceus, as well as Oshawott. And next to those Pokemon in the trailer was another starter Pokemon which matched up. So, for example, when we saw Rowlet, there was a Snivy next to it. We saw Cyndaquil, there was a Torchic next to it. We saw Piplup, there was a... we saw Oshawott, there was a Piplup next to it. So, yeah, he's saying that those are going to be the actual new starters, and that was a hint from the trailer. Continuing on, he says 5 new Kalos forms. Okay, so special Pokemon that are Kalos-based. Have a cool time concept to them, all which is a big element of this game. Okay, time concept. So I'm wondering if that's similar to Paradox Pokemon, like it's going to be paradoxical, or if it's going to be more like when he says time-based, like literally based on clocks and, you know, items and stuff like that, or the passage of time in some way. I wonder if that's what he means. Again, I don't really know, but we'll see. Now, he continues on and says, yes, the story takes place in the past. However, many links to other regions and references to the events of Legends Arceus. That would make sense. There are a lot of things about Legends Arceus that should be kind of mentioned, or at least they should show up. Like, we've already seen some of those mentions of Legends Arceus show up in Scarlet and Violet, so it's not necessarily an impossibility, to say the least, okay? Like, it's not an impossible thing for us to expect to see a little bit of some references, some things, some connections, so to say, right? Like, all of that makes total sense. Which, again, I think makes total sense. Either way, he says, yes, the story takes place, many links to other regions, references to the events of Legends Arceus. Okay, cool. There'll be one more Legends game announced in 2027. Wow, that's really far ahead, brother. To complete this trilogy. Wait, it would be crazy if this is just a trilogy, right? Imagine if we get one more Legends game and that's it, and they're done with Legends. That would be so shitty, man. I don't want that to happen. I want them to make more Legends games. Because Legends is just a cool series, okay? Arceus was sick. Arceus was a step in the right direction. I don't want them to drop the Legends mantra and the Legends, like, name and just stop using it and stop making games like that. That would be really disappointing. But he says that apparently that's going to be the final one. Takes place in Johto. That would make sense, actually, though. A Johto one, a Sinnoh, Johto, and... Oh, actually, if you think about it, they're perfectly, like, 2 gens next to each other. So, like, Gen 2, Gen 4, and Gen 6. There's exactly 2 generations skip between them. Like, they're perfectly, what would you call it? Like, geez, I forgot what like the word is in English for when you have like odd and even numbers, right? Yeah, there you go. That's literally what I just said. Even numbers. So yeah, they're even numbers, right? 2, 4, 6. That would actually be perfect if they did Johto next. Plus, Johto is the one to me that makes the most sense to set in the past because there's so many things you could actually do about the Johto lore, the Burn Tower, Ho-Oh's origins. How did the legendary beasts come about? Were they actually evolutions? The past of like the Kimono girls. Like, there's so many things you can do with Johto because it is a more old school region to begin with. It looks more old to start with back in the day too. So honestly, Johto for a 2027 Legends game, well, perfect. Would actually be fantastic. I think that would be lovely. He continues on and says, all mechanics are the same as Arceus in regards to catching, shiny Pokemon outbreaks, etc. So he says that Legends ZA is going to have a similar system to catching, which is like, you can kind of throw the Pokeball in the Pokemon and just catch it right away, as well as shiny Pokemon, which means with shiny Pokemon, there was that sound, right? There was like a noise that was made every time a shiny Pokemon appeared. And outbreaks were the giant, balls of stuff, and then there would be an outbreak of certain Pokemon. And plus, you guys have seen outbreaks in Scarlet and Violet as well, except they look a little bit different in Arceus than they do in the regular one, but nonetheless, it is still a interesting point. Continues on, says that game takes place just in Lumiose City, but there are small wild areas in each part of the city with stronger Pokemon as you progress through the game. Now, we know this because on the actual trailer, we get to see the map of Lumiose, and there are these circles, right? These are actually the plazas in regular X and Y. Now, I played X and Y recently, and I was exploring parts of, the plazas themselves. And, if you expand those and actually make them a realistic size, because right now in X and Y, they're really small, and that's because, you got to remember, Pokemon games try to, be somewhat, downscaled compared to a real location. Like, if you look at something like, I don't know, Spider-Man, the Spider-Man game on the PlayStation 5 or something like that, that game, yes, it's got a massive city. Every building is it's huge, right? It's massive. But that's the thing. Pokemon has never, actually made a true to scale city. The cities in Pokemon have always been, a 1 to 100 scale or something like that. It's a very small, piece of what it should be. It's very downscaled in size, downsized, to make sure that it fits a Pokemon game and it's not too massive to explore. But if this game is taking only place in Lumiose, there is no other places to go to. You're not going to be going to your hometown or whatever in Kalos. You're just going to be in Lumiose. That actually makes more sense. That actually makes more sense. You have way more space to work with now, and way more time to make an actual city that feels like a city. Make a real Lumiose city, not just this, kind of half-assed thing. To be honest, I still like Lumiose City X and Y, but my point is, you can do even better. You can do even better if you have the freedom to do even better. But nonetheless, though, he says that all the mechanics are the same in shiny hunting. Game takes place in Lumiose, but it's just a small wild areas in each part of the city with stronger Pokemon as you progress through the game. Which, yes, that's literally what I've said as well. I think that's going to be what we're going to see in the plazas themselves. Now, game is planned to release in January 2025. Interesting. Why wouldn't they just announce, early 2025 then? Because I don't believe that. See, this is the thing where it gets me. Release date-wise, this makes... Sure, January. It could be January. That's what they did for Arceus as well. The difference is with Arceus is we got an actual kind of release time frame, right? Because they didn't say, oh, it's releasing in January, Legends Arceus. They literally said, Legends Arceus coming early 2022, right? That's what they said. It was an early 2022 time frame. With this, all we know is coming worldwide 2025. That's it. We don't have any other information. We don't have any other context. We don't know anything else besides that. That's the only piece of information we actually have, which... Again, it's not really a lot to work with. It's way less to work with than we normally have. But he says it's going to be planned for a release date January 2025. Generation 10 is going to be announced in February 2025 during the presents. So I still think this is real. I still think that we're going to get Generation 10 announced next year. Now, a lot of people are going to argue with me and be like, actually, Ruffled, it makes no sense because, Ruffled, we're going to actually have the 30th anniversary is going to be happening in 2026. So, it makes no sense to have the announcement for Generation 10 in 2025. But either way, you got to remember, as much as Legends ZA, as much as Legends ZA coming out next year is a big game, sure, it is not enough to keep them going for another whole last year, okay? It's not enough. It's not enough to make enough anime episodes based around that. I mean, sure, the anime is actually pretty fine right now because they just went to Paldea in the anime in Horizon, so they're set for that for a while at least. But remember, you're releasing these episodes all the time. You're gonna run out. Like, remember, we have all of this year left still to release new TCG sets, new merch, new stuff like that. I am sure that Legends ZA is going to be giving a little bit of a bump. And I've looked at the actual numbers, and Legends Arceus did give a nice bump to like the franchise. But compared to what Scarlet and Violet did for the franchise, way different, okay? Way bigger bump, way bigger rise. Plus, I'm personally thinking it's going to turn out like this. And I could be wrong. And again, honestly, it's fine if I'm wrong. And I'm okay with being wrong. But this is my personal prediction. I personally think that what's going to happen is going to be the following. They're going to announce, they're going to announce like, you know, some news and stuff about Legends ZA later this year. So around June, around that time frame is what I'm expecting news. I'm expecting that around that time too, we're going to get the announcement of the Switch 2, the brand new Switch, the brand new Nintendo console, because we're all waiting for that new console. Like, remember, this Switch is now, if we're going to do all the countings of the years, it is now 7 years old, right? It's been out since 2017, so you're currently, you know, yeah, you're 7 years in to the life cycle of the Switch. It's a long time. It's 7 years. Like, you know, in the next 3 years, it's gonna be a decade old, which is crazy to believe. But yes, the Switch is old. It's been out forever. There's multiple iterations. The Switch Mini, the Switch Lite, the Switch OLED. You already have multiple versions of it. The time now is to get a new console out. You got to get people onto new hardware, better consoles to run better games and more games. Right now, it's time to move on, and especially when they just closed down the 3DS and the Wii U. That usually indicates that, you know, if they're closing down that stuff, that usually indicates that, yeah, they're ready to move on to something even bigger, so they got to close down everything behind, you know, even further back in time to make sure there's nothing like no extra costs and extra stuff to deal with. Because guess what? If they move on to a new Switch, they're probably going to be making a new infrastructure for it, a new Switch Online, stuff like that, you know, or a new system for it to function. Probably, right? Still going to be tied to Nintendo Online account and all that kind of shit, but it's going to be a new, like, platform, right? It's going to be a new platform. It's going to be a new console, which is important because if we think about that, if you think about that, the fact that they're going to be doing that, it is about time to move away from the old console, which, what does that mean for Pokemon? Well, if they announce the Switch, right? If they announce it in June this year or like during, you know, summer when they normally should be announcing it, if they announce the Switch 2, the new Switch console, sometime in June, that means that Pokemon officially will be able to announce that they have a game for that console releasing next year. Now, Pokemon has never really launched like right into a new console on the same year that it releases. They've never really done that, but they could do that. That would actually be a really smart business decision, especially now that they have Pokemon Works and all these other extra helpers. They've already had that before, but now they have even more help to make Pokemon games. What are the chances they wouldn't be able to just push out another Pokemon game? Now, it could, of course, next year just release a remake from Ilka and Pokemon Works, right? They could just put together a remake game, and that's what they release next year on the brand new console if it releases next year, right? Because it should be releasing next year. They should be announcing it in June now, and we should be getting it next year. There is some stuff I'm going to talk about in the Nintendo Switch actually later in this video, because there is some rumors that I think are very interesting in regards to exactly this. But basically what I'm trying to say is that, you know, if you match up, like, you know, the dates and everything, if they announce the Switch this year, the brand new Switch, then they you know, by the time we get to February of next year, they could easily announce the next console. Sorry, they could announce the next Pokemon generation game, right? Gen 10. They could announce that in February and be like, hey, we have a new Pokemon game. Like, hey, here's an update on Pokemon Legends ZA, and also a final announcement. Yes, what you just saw was Generation 10. This is our, you know, this is Pokemon blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Pokemon, you know, face and butt cheek. I don't know, whatever. My point is, like, this is the next Pokemon game, and it's going to be coming to the brand new Nintendo console, and it's going to be launching on that console, right? So if the new Switch comes out, let's say March, like the original Switch did, if it comes out in March, you could easily, okay, have a Pokemon new generation at the end of that year in November to, like, get some crazy sales and get people to buy the console. Because remember, Pokemon is a hardware seller. Pokemon sells consoles. People buy multiple Switches just for Pokemon. Like, Pokemon is massive. As much as people want to shit on Scarlet and Violet, it still sold like 24 million copies. That's so many people buying the game, okay? It's so freaking popular still. Pokemon just sells a lot still, man. And people just disregard that. But my point is, a Generation 10 next year, not crazy. I personally think Legends ZA is going to release sometime in the first or second quarter. So like between January and June of next year is when I think Legends ZA is going to release. And at the end of the year, they're still going to have, like the new Generation 10 or Generation X, whatever you want to call it, Gen X, which is going to be releasing then. That's at least the way I view it. But again, I could be wrong. And remember, they also did release Arceus in the same year as they released Scarlet and Violet. So it's not an impossibility. And I know people are going to be like, oh, but it's perfect with the 30th anniversary. It doesn't have to be, okay? Sure, the 20th anniversary matched up with Sun and Moon, but the 25th anniversary didn't at all match up with anything. It didn't have any, like, massive thing releasing during it. There was no, like, new generation launching during the 25th anniversary. You could argue the 30th anniversary is bigger. Maybe that's the only way I would see it, like, actually being logical. Like, if you want to argue that maybe the 30th anniversary is, like, a big one for them, but that's only if they internally give a shit about it. Again, I would love to be wrong, and we're just gonna have to wait and see, right? We've got a whole year until then, so we'll see. Either way, moving on. We are on the bottom of the post here. So, like I said, Gen game is planned to release 2025, January, and Gen 10 announced in February 2025 during the Presents. Generation 5 Remakes announced this in June this year. Faithful, not chibi style. Ooh, okay. Well, that would be great if true. We're going to have to wait and see, though, right? Like, that's the whole point. We're just going to have to wait and see. There is not really much we can say about it right now. But that's pretty much that for this post, guys. I'd love to know you guys' thoughts and opinions. But let's now move on to the next thing, which is going to be this post right here. Now, this is from Brazil. Now, Brazil is a poster on the Famiboards forum, and he's actually somebody who's had real leaks in the past. Now, he posted something back in February, which turned out not to be exactly 100% correct. But basically says, here's what I've heard post Friday, direct in April, general or mini, don't know, indie world before that, probably March, June for Switch 2 reveal, everything in flux, always been feeling good, so but I'm feeling good, so A. Now, he technically was wrong about the March one, because we didn't get a direct or anything in March. We did get one in, I think, what was it, like February? I don't remember. Let me actually look it up real quick. Was it, I need to look it up, like Nintendo All Directs. Like, if we need to just look up every single Nintendo Direct here in the archive. The most recent one was actually on the 21st of February. So he did post this on February 19th, which he wasn't wrong that there was going to be something, happening. But yeah, it wasn't really like, anything crazy that happened in March. However, he made a second post, which is this one right here. So he says here, hey y'all, stepping in since I've received some DMs and since it was the one to volunteer all those dates over a month ago, even though I told myself I was out of the event date leak thing a couple of years back. Now, I was feeling good that week, shoot me. Here's the post from back then. He actually links back to it, which is, I give credit to him for doing that. He says, I haven't talked to the IW source in a few weeks, reached out today, didn't get a response yet, but as far as I'm aware, the presentation could still happen in the time frame I was given. April Direct is still a go as of last week, but please remember that in the last Direct was delayed by a week, the week of. And be kind to Pioro, Necro, and Nate, and whoever else decides to volunteer any further info. From my end, at least, things only really start materializing in a solid way a week before the planned date. Until then, it's always up in the air, which is why I promise I won't even talk about event dates anymore after these go down, lol. But yeah, so basically what I'm trying to say is this. In terms of like the Nintendo Directs and everything like that, I would say like this. Based on like the stuff that people have been saying right now, there are some talks about an April Direct, which would be great because the last one was in February, and that was just a partner showcase. So we haven't had a real Nintendo Direct since September, right? The last time we had a Nintendo Direct, I can show you right here. The last time we had a Nintendo Direct was actually in September. You guys can see it right there. This one right here. So the last time we had one was literally the 14th of September. And before that, you had a Mario Bros. Wonder Direct. But if you want to go back all the way to the previous actual Direct, it was the Direct on the 6th, what was that? Like June 21st, 2023. So there is, there's quite some time here between the last one since we've had it. So since September, like, let me just think. Like, you've got September, so half of September, if you don't really want to count that. You've got October, November, December, January, February, March. That's 6 months. That's been half a year. So it is right now the perfect time to do another one. Because even here, between, like, if you look back to, like, 2022, between 2022, the first one, the last one, 2022, and the first one in The following month, it was on the 8th of February, was when we had a 40-minute direct right here. And between there and there was about, so November. So again, you had let me see. You had October, November, December, January, February. So yeah, like 5 months, a 5-month wait, basically. About 5 months between them. So point is, it's about time we get a Nintendo Direct. Like, usually there's something in between here. Like, you guys can see how they've done it recently in the last, few ones is they have a Nintendo Direct, right? They have one, and then they have something different. Then they have a Nintendo Direct, they have something different. Then they have a Nintendo Direct, then they have something different. And it's about time we have another Nintendo Direct. Again, September was the last one. It's been 6 months, okay? It's been over 6 months now. It's about time. Sure, they could wait until June. That's always a possibility. But I think April, this month, it should be time for it. And also, it's about time they announce their next console, man. Because remember, okay, Nintendo's sales are still doing good. They're still doing fine. But if they're working on a new console, it doesn't make any sense to hold it back any further because people's interest, okay, you gotta remember, sure, on one hand, they don't want to announce it to maybe just yet because it could cause issues to, sales of current, games and stuff like that, or current projects could get in trouble. However, announcing it does give you kind of a better, it boosts your numbers for the next, quarter. It boosts your numbers for a while. Because then investors know, okay, it's a new console coming, so there's something, and they need to see it, right? Investors need to see what you're working on to know that there's something in the, in the plans. Because, what is Nintendo's, Nintendo, let's see, earnings report. If we just look at the Nintendo earnings report in the recent while, right? Because if we look at, let's see, just overview, their numbers, in the last, let's say, 5 years, right? They're doing great, right? They're actually doing amazing. If you look here at their actual stock price, it is doing great. Their highest peak here was the 16th of February 2024, which was, I guess, must have been around the time frame they announced, so this is the 21st. So it was right around before they actually did the presents. But then it dropped as soon as the presents was over because I guess people expected more. But then, the price has kind of gone down in the last few days. However, this is a very high, this is doing really well for them. It's the highest Nintendo has ever been. But that's the thing. Another console announcement, boom, it's going to shoot up these numbers even further. And that's the thing with these companies is, it's a good thing for them. They want that. You know what I mean? They really do want that. And that's the most important thing, is money, okay? They only really care about money. And the only way they can get more money is, of course, if they release new stuff to make more money. Because right now, it's not really going to go anywhere if they don't have new products to kind of entice people to spend money. And just looking at Nintendo right now, there's not really... The only thing we really know about is the new Mario movie, that thingy that they hinted at. But, there isn't really much happening, right? There isn't really much going on with Nintendo in terms of their... franchises and anything really, to be honest. Seriously, the Direct Partner Showcase, wasn't anything special. There really wasn't a lot of stuff there. It was pretty lame. If you look back at the other Direct, the last Direct we had announced basically, well, yeah, what did it announce? It showed us some, just some really basic stuff, it really wasn't anything crazy. Mario RPG was crazy, sure. But that's already, I think, out. Pikachu Returns, Detective Pikachu Returns, horrible. I don't think even did really well. Luigi's Mansion 2, I guess HD remake or whatever, that's one. There wasn't really a lot there. Let's be honest. There wasn't really a lot there. There hasn't really been any big thing besides, I guess, Mario Wonder. And Mario Wonder is out now. It's, it's done. You don't really have, much else to do with it. It's about time to move on to the next thing because I think the Switch has reached its, natural peak. Switch console sales. Let's look at that. So it sold nearly 140 million units, right? Which is actually incredible if you really think about it. If you look here at the video games, the sales units thingy, you guys can see 140 million units. That is pretty crazy. That is actually insane. Right? That's really good numbers. But the point is, that's it. I don't really think you can expect it to go any further beyond this. I don't really expect it to go any further beyond this actual number anymore. Because if you look at comparison here, the Wii U only sold 14 million copies. Holy shit, that's really bad. Jeez. That's actually really bad. Oh my lord. Wait, only 14 million of you guys bought a Wii U? Damn. The Wii, for example, has been outsold by the Switch. The Switch actually outsold it. Now imagine, as a company, if you want to sell even more now, you got to release another one, right? Just got to make sure you don't make the Wii U mistake. That's like the biggest thing, right? You got to make sure that this thing doesn't turn out like this thing. But then the question is like, what can they really do? What can they do to actually like outdo this? Because yeah, if you look at the sales here, the only thing that comes the closest to it would be the Nintendo DS, right? 154 million units sold, which is, the best part about the DS was that it sold so much for them because there was so many different iterations of it. It was relatively cheap. It wasn't really hard to like get your hands on. A good console, okay? So it's about time for them to move on to the next thing. This is it. I don't think the Switch is going to be going further than this. It's their best-selling console of all time. But I don't think it's going to go further than that. I think it's reached its natural conclusion. It's about time for it to like move on, and go to the next thing. So again, that's just where I'm at in regards to that. Again, things can always change with this. But I'd love to know you guys' thoughts and opinions and all this stuff in the comment section down below. And also, I just want to quickly mention something really important, which I already brought up. I made a whole video about this. But apparently, guys, there's currently a way to get your hands on literally just whatever you want from the machine in Pokemon, Scarlet and Violet, the item printer. Basically, in Scarlet and Violet, the item printer is broken, where basically based on the time your Switch is set to, and I have a whole video. Just go check my most recent video if you want to see how to do this. But basically, based on your on your console's time, so what you set your console to be at, your time frame, based on that, the game actually decides what's going to be in the Pokeball Lotto bonus. So you can actually do a special code here. If you do it at the third month, the 25th day, the 2016, at 7:08 p.m. at 18 seconds, you can get 5 Master Balls. Now, I already did this. You can go watch my video. I fully explain it there. But it's really awesome. It's a great way to get yourself free items to basically, it's pretty awesome. But yeah, that's just something I want to quickly mention as well. But that's going to be it. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.